It's almost tax season, and Nick and I are so excited to announce a new sponsor of the How to Film Weddings podcast.
That is Core Financial. John has used them for a couple years for doing his books and his taxes and his financial planning. I was talking to him about this time last year, and he recommended Core to me, and I have been using them for all of 2019. Guys, girls, people listening, what is probably the most stressful thing that you have to deal with regularly in your business? I'm going to go ahead and say that it's books, taxes, and accounting, all of that. Would you agree, John?
100%. And having the team, Jeremy and the team over at Core, as basically another member of my team, an extension of my team, I've been able to focus on what really matters, and that's running my business and taking care of clients. So we are just so pumped to have an option for you out there. They're nationwide. And so if you're interested, definitely check them out. We're going to have episodes with them on soon, but we just wanted to jump on here before the episode to tell you how excited we are, and stay tuned for more from Core Financial.
And if you would like more information about Core and what they can do for you, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/core, and you can find out all of the information about them doing bookkeeping, about them doing your taxes, about them giving you a financial plan so that you should know if you should spend money in your business or not in the following months. It's a great investment. Yes, it costs some money, but it's going to save you so much money in the long run by hiring a company like this. We are so excited to have Core on board as one of our sponsors.
If you're not taking the time and seriously putting a line item in your budget for education each year, you are costing yourself tens of thousands of dollars a year. Like it's a no-brainer. The online courses, the workshops, the mentor sessions, those kinds of things need to be in your mind each year to do for your business.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller, and today I am joined by my best good buddy, Mr. John. I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, Bunn.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, I opened that can.
I think I'm a 3 on the Enneagram. Nick and I have been arguing that he is not a 3, but I don't know anything about the Enneagram. So before we hit record, he was making some jokes about my personality and stuff like that. So way to go, low blow, Nick Miller. Low blow.
Anyway, so what we wanted to do today was spend a little bit of time and revisit the idea of investing in your business, investing in yourself with education. Yes, we have just launched our course, which we're very high up on, but there are all sorts of education formats out there with mentorships and in-person workshops and just YouTube in general and podcasts and all that stuff. So we wanted to spend some time and revisit the importance of education for both me and John in our businesses and what we have learned from that and how we have grown. So that is our topic for today's podcast. So John, what do you say we just jump on over in there and start talking about it?
Let's do it.
So first off, John and I want to thank all of you that have went ahead and purchased the Complete Wedding Videography course. The feedback has been fantastic. We are beside ourselves. It has gone really, really well, but we're still getting messages and we're still getting comments. So we decided to actually keep enrollment open for one more day because we know some people are thinking about it, and we wanted to give you the opportunity. If you still want to purchase the Complete Wedding Videography course, it is still open today. So we're so excited about that, and we wanted to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this after, the launch day, obviously check out CompleteWeddingVideography.com to sign up to be notified when we do open it back up for enrollment. One of the things that's really stood out to me, Nick, in this last week of doing this launch, yes, it's been a lot of work, but the reward of hearing all of the positive feedback. I mean, Kylina, one of the attendees, one of the members, has said that she raised her prices $500 and booked a $3,000 wedding because she changed some things up in the first day of listening to the business section.
One day, And she, our launch week was $1,800. And in one day, she booked a $3,500 package based on what she had learned in the stuff the previous night. And so it already paid for itself, almost paid for double of just from one day of the course. So that is we're so proud of her and so happy for her. And we can't wait to see what happens to her and her business.
Yes. And so if you're still interested in that course, we've been getting a ton of messages. Shoot us a message on Facebook, on Instagram at How to Film Weddings. Like, we're very quick. We're spending our whole day today answering questions, making sure that it is the right fit for you. At midnight Pacific, the cart will be closed and you will not be able to get in until the next round of us doing this will probably be late summer or fall. We're not 100% sure yet. So if you've been on the fence, I do want to throw it out there. The last thing about this course is that we wanted to make it a no-brainer situation. If you're interested in the course, results like Kylina's, we know will happen with you. So we have a 30-day full money-back guarantee. You've heard us say it. You've seen the emails probably. But what we wanted to do is you can watch the whole course. And if you don't feel like it is something that is going to help your business, at least by $1,800 worth, we're going to pay you right back. We're going to give you the money back, no questions asked. So there is literally no risk, Nick. This is the same as 3 courses in one, a business shooting and editing course. You can't find this anywhere else on the market, and we are beside ourselves with the reward that I didn't even realize we were going to have, which is just the excitement that people have been saying, oh my goodness, this is so much deeper than the podcast. This is so much better than what I could find on YouTube. And that for me has been the most rewarding part of all of this, is this group of people that are investing into their education and going to see the benefits. They're in our private Facebook group. They're already interacting and helping each other and watching films of each other's and doing critiques. And so it is an incredible place for you if that is something that you want to do. I know I've talked a lot, Nick. I'm going to throw it back over to you.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we wanted to do on today's podcast was, yes, we're going to highlight our course. It's something we made. We are very proud of it. We want to share that with as many people, and we want as many people as can to purchase that. But we really wanted to focus on why investing in education is the right move for you. One of the things that popped into my mind earlier this week was, as I was thinking about education and stuff, and I really had the mentality of, it'll work itself out, I'll trial and error is my mantra, and, I'll kind of go with it and then figure out what does work and what doesn't work. And, I was 5 years in, before I really invested in myself and invested in my education. And I find it no coincidence that year 6 was my first year that we made 6 figures in our Wild Oak Films business.
100%.
Year 5, I did education. Year 6 is whenever that really, really started to happen. And so someone asked a question about in our Facebook group the other day. He was like, "Hey, I just got off the phone with the Knot and Wedding Wire, and it's normally $350 a month for a prime spot, but I can do it. They'll give me a deal for $180 a month, for a prime spot. Is this worth it?" And this person was in year 1 or year 2, and my suggestion was, dude, take that same amount of money and invest in yourself. I would have gone back. That would be the number one thing that I would do, is find a mentor, find someone I can work with, find someone that can help me and guide me along the way, so that, what if I would have invested in myself in year 2? When would that 6-figure income have come? Right? Might have been able to quit my day job earlier. I would have been able to provide for my family and be there for them differently, and not have to work all the time because I was working 2 jobs. So we definitely think that education is very, very important. Let's be honest. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. There are other people that are smarter than us, and we know stuff that other people don't know. So whenever we're educating and sharing with each other, we can all grow and improve our business.
I want to point out one thing too before we kind of talk about the kinds of education, but a few people stand out in my mind in the last year. One of them is Catherine from Blink Media or Blink Films. Another one is Britley Little. She's an Oklahoma wedding filmmaker. She owns BritVid. She actually came to my workshop last year. She's going to venture this next year. She's taken our course. And like, so those two people, and then Julie with Vita Motion. Shout out to all three of you ladies out there. But I've watched their businesses. I met Catherine and Julie over at Venture last year. They were at a workshop investing in themselves, and I've seen their Instagram following go up. I've seen their brand go up. They're networking with people inside of these groups and on our Facebook, and like, you can just tell that they've spent the money on investing in themselves, and you can see within 12 months. It's not even been 12 months since I've met the girls from Venture, and like, their Instagram accounts have blown up. They're getting more and more people following their brands, but their films are so much better, and there's so much more that they are accomplishing. And then the same thing with Britley, who I am now able to refer Oklahoma weddings to, because I remember sending her a message, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I was like, hey, how much are you charging for your films? And she was like, $1,500. And I was like, okay, I can't refer you until you're charging $3,000. And she was like, huh? And I was like, no, for real, you have to get to this. I don't feel comfortable sending somebody that, has a $4,000 or $5,000 budget. Mine are $6,000 or $7,000 weddings, so I need somebody that's $3,000 to $5,000. And she was like, wow, I need to get better and invest in myself. What would you recommend I do? And she started asking more and more questions. She started doing our course, and now I'm watching her on her Instagram and bumping, like, she is filling up 2020, and she was a member or one of the attendees at my workshop that I did last March, and you could just see her taking notes and notes and notes and asking questions, and like, that is the kind of heart that you have to have, and the kind of heart that Nick and I still have. Yes. Like, we're going to places and we're doing things. And so those stories just stood out to me. Hopefully those are inspiring before we get into, the meat of today's episode. Yeah.
Great examples of people. And, you never know where people are going to go and where they're going to be whenever they invest in themselves. Yeah, definitely. So we wanted to kind of talk about, some kinds of education that you will see out there. First is going to be, and you might not think of it this way, but a Facebook group like ours, How to Film Weddings, facebook.howtofilmweddings.com. Shameless plug. If you want to check in that, there are... Yes, it's not necessarily like, hey, I'm sitting down to teach you, but people ask questions, and people interact with when we have our film critiques, and people interact with each other and talk to each other. And so it's not like a formal setting, I'm standing in front of the class and I'm teaching you things within the Facebook group, but by reading others' comments and reading stuff that people have accomplished, and like, whenever I comment on someone's post, I have 7 years more experience than they do, so they are learning from me, and same with John, and we can all learn from each other. And one of the things that I love is I have picked up stuff from people that have been in the business for only 6 months or 10 months or something like that. And I think that's a really cool thing about education, is it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, you can still pick up something from someone else no matter where they are.
So true.
So yeah.
The Facebook groups too. Like, I remember, like, just the interaction with other people gets you, the connection with other people that are thinking about things might open your mind to something that you weren't even considering or thinking about or realizing you needed to pay attention to. And so the Facebook groups, I'm in several, I'm in a lot of the workshops that you'll go to, or the courses that you will purchase will give you an exclusive Facebook group that's private and hidden, that is a smaller group for you to do, more interacting with each other. And so, like, I remember, Nick, just being like, you said you were in your 5th year before you did in investing.
I want to say that year 5 was the year that we did a mentorship with David from Forestry Films.
And like, I want to say that it was, I know I've said it on the podcast before, but I think it was 2017 before I did my first, like, anything at all besides being in Facebook groups or whatever. And so just like, yes, the Facebook groups are great, but there are so many options now that weren't there in 2007 when I got started. Like, you just couldn't go reach out to your favorite filmmaker. Like, Google was just still figuring out an algorithm to, like, show you wedding films. It was,
right.
And so now, if you're in your first 5 years of business, there is nothing holding you back from a lot of free education, a lot of, things like these Facebook groups or different kinds of YouTube. Like that's one of the other ones of continuing education that's on the list is just YouTube tutorials and things like that. You can go search the internet and find how to do this, people are uploading content. And so that is a great free way to start learn different things about how to shoot or how to edit. People like Peter McKinnon or, there's like social media people like the Content Bug or, different things that I follow, people that talk about finance and you can spend a ton of time, Matt Johnson or, White and Reverie. Some of these people are putting out great content for free on YouTube. So Facebook groups, YouTube, those are a couple of ways we can do education. What else you got, Nick?
Yeah. So one thing a goal that I have for 2020 is to read more. You said something to me a while ago, which was leaders are readers. And
I made that up.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Not my kid's school or anything.
Yeah. So that kind of stuck with me. And then I saw the statistic. Did you know that the average Fortune 500 CEO reads on average 30 books a year? On average. And there's some that read way more than that and some that read a little less, but on average 30. So my goal was to read 24 books. So that's 2 books a month. And not all going to be business related, but kind of more heavy tilted that way. I have read The Profit First by Michael Witz. I don't know. Fantastic book on money and finances. I read Story Brand by Donald Miller. Amazing. I'm currently going through Good to Great right now. I know that's one that you said that you really, really enjoyed. But
really good
finding information out there, and if you're one thing that really held me back when it come to reading books was I was like, well, this isn't for wedding videographer. This isn't even for videography. I had this block in my mind that I can't learn from these people because their businesses are so different than mine. Guess what? They're really not. I mean, obviously what you're doing is different, but how you approach your business, how you run your business, even how you sell to people, it's all the same. And so you can take their principles and apply that to your business. So I highly recommend reading. And maybe you're a person that's reading is not my thing. Do you know that Audible has a Netflix subscription now where you can pay a monthly fee and you can get all the audiobooks that you want. So you can listen to them like podcasts, just while you're working out or editing or, kind of whatever. So you can get all of that information as well that way.
Yeah. And I've heard it several times that the difference, in 5 years from now, the only difference in you is going to be the people that you meet and the books that you read. That's what's going to be the major influences on who you are 5 years from now. And so if you think about it, Nick, you and I met each other, and the more that we're around each other, the more you're like each other or whatever. And I've also heard the statistic that your income is around the average of your 5 closest friends. So the people that you hang around, the people. And so there's just a lot when it comes to, the kinds of things that you surround yourself with. But books are what changed my business. I remember being, it was before my daughter was born. So she's 9. I would get up at 5 a.m. every single day. And I would go to Starbucks, which was a mile from my house, and I would read from 5 a.m. till 8 a.m. and just drink a cup of coffee, sit there quietly, watch people come in and out, just sit in the corner and read for 3 hours. And that is what got my business going. I read Gary Vee's books and Barbara Corcoran's books and Malcolm Gladwell's books and fill in the blank with all kinds of books, probably 100 books in a year or two's worth of time, just reading, and that is what changed my business. And so this is investing into you, whether it's reading a physical book, downloading audio and listening, podcasts are another way. Obviously, like our podcast, hopefully you are gaining, education through this kind of, free podcasts or free things like that. Books are, $10, $12, $20. Not much. And then Audible, or whatever you were saying about the monthly subscriptions. These are inexpensive ways for you to continually educate yourself. And what happens, Nick, is if you're not paying attention and setting goals for things like that, is a year goes by and you're like, wow, I haven't read anything. I haven't done any extra. I haven't done anything.
I I know I've shared this before, but Harvard did this study where they had all of their people, in a class, in a business class, write down their goals. And then they did a 20-year study. And it was, so they wrote down their goals, and then in 20 years, they went back and revisited those people and how they were doing with their goals. They figured out that the simple fact of writing down your goals, people were more likely to achieve them. But the other thing that they figured out was people that reviewed their goals daily, like actually looked at them and checked them out on the daily, it was something like they achieved their goals way ahead of schedule and were way ahead where they thought they would be in, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, based on the fact that they just reviewed their goals daily.
Do you remember that wedding from a month ago? Yeah, like that one that you needed to start editing yesterday? But you also need to prep today for your wedding tomorrow, and you're leaving for your first vacation in forever on Monday. So what do? It seems that the only creative part of your edits are the excuses you're going to have to give your clients. We have the solution, Wedditor. Wedditor is a team of top wedding editors, project managers, and account coordinators that help us wedding filmmakers edit. They match the right editors with your style so you can spend your time where it matters most, on your business. Nick and I both use Wedditor, and we don't know how we would run our companies without them. It takes a team to build an amazing business, and you shouldn't try to do it all on your own. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor to help you free up your time so that you can focus on growing your brand. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
How do you deliver your wedding films? Dropbox? Disk? A subscription service that is way too expensive? We have the answer for you. Wedflow. Wedflow is a cloud-based digital delivery system that we love. I personally have been using Wedflow for months, and I can't get over how great of a service it is. First off, Wedflow is pay per project. That's right, you only pay for the data that you need. Wedflow uses a premium viewing experience accessible on all modern devices and playback up to 4K. With custom branding and theming, wedding filmmakers can deliver an experience that's truly on brand from start to finish. Head to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedflow and upload your first project for as little as $1 per gigabyte. Wedflow, a whole new take on wedding film delivery. So
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And we would encourage you, we're trying to work on more action steps for our podcast listeners. So today, take out a notepad and just write out your goals for the day. Write out your goals for the week. Write out your goals for the month, and write out some goals for the year. Whether that be, I kind of break things up into, financial, faith, fitness, and family. And so financial is all my business stuff. Like I'm writing down my fitness goal. I know.
Blake, make my neck long.
A lot of F words there. Wait a sec. You know what I meant. But anyway, writing those goals down, though, action steps, do that. Do that for yourself. Write down your goals. What do you need to accomplish today? And if you're reviewing those kinds of things, it's going to weed out stuff that you don't realize is choking away all of your time. And so, there are a lot of different free ways, a lot of different, things to do for education that we're not even mentioning all of them, but those are some of our favorites. I want to move into, Nick, a little bit some of the things that we pay for education.
Yes.
Books, yes, but kind of next level things that we do as wedding videographers. What are some things that we can do that might cost an investment? You're investing something that is putting finances into something and hoping or working on them to grow them. And so investing, how can we invest into our business, Nick?
I have done a couple of one-on-one mentorships in my business career. One was a one-day thing with Sarah Pendergraph of Penn Weddings, and I was shooting a wedding in Tulsa, and I asked her if she would be willing to do that, and so I took a day, and I just learned from her. I learned a ton of stuff from her, and then my wife and I did it was 8 to 10 weeks, somewhere in there, 1 hour a week mentorship with David and Harmony from Forestry Films, and I spent, doing that. I can't remember, 25 to 3,000 in that range for both of those things combined. But I cannot tell you how much money we have made because of that investment. Like, yes, you hear, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, like that's a lot of money in one chunk. And we're not trying to say that it's not. Okay. We know that that's a hefty financial, but if you could pay $3,000 today and you knew that in 12 months you would be making, 100 in your business, 150,000, 200,000 in your, stuff like that. Like, wouldn't you say that that's worth it? And everyone would say, absolutely, yes. So the one-on-one attention that I was able to get, the questions that I could ask, the things that were, dealing specifically with just me and my business and they could answer, like that was powerful. And I attribute so much to the success of our business today because of walking through and going through those one-on-one mentorships.
And I only wish that I would have known I could do that. Like, I was almost afraid to admit, and maybe that's you out there, like, you think you've got your crap together, and, like, I still battle this because I feel like I know my stuff, but, like, the moment that you're willing to be vulnerable and say, I don't know how to do this, especially in our Facebook group, there's not anybody that's like going, you're a loser, you don't know how to do that. No, everybody's like, oh, here's how you can do this. Here's how. And so the more that you make yourself vulnerable, the more you can actually grow. I remember, and if you look back on some of our early episodes of this podcast, my office was situated differently. And I did not know how to do studio lighting. I've never had to do studio lighting. I've always run and gun. I wasn't as good at lighting as I am now. And like, embarrassing enough as it was, we're doing a podcast on video. And I'm like, I don't know how to make the light look good in this room. I'm trying. I look flat. I never had really paid attention to like interview lighting. And I reached out to Nick and to a few of the guys that were at my workshop. This was in March. So Phil Harbuck, and Blake Polino and Jeremy Bay and Nick, I was like, guys, I need help. I'm embarrassed to say this, but please, can you guys help me? And they were drawing pictures saying, put a light here, buy this diffuser. Do you see how this shadow looks better? And I was just writing notes and like, it was so much fun for me because a month later, even though it was hard and it was like annoying to figure out and embarrassing, a month later, people started messaging me being like, what lights are you using in your interviews? Those look good. And it's like, oh, well, and honestly, I get a lot of messages about the way that my light looks or the way, and what it did for me though, and I didn't even realize it, it totally changed the way I do lighting on a wedding day. And so now I'm very like particular, like my most recent films that I've uploaded, my speeches, I'm just like, yes, I got it. Like I framed it right. I hair light and I did a soft, and like I learned everything by ear, like basically by eye. I didn't go to camera school. I didn't know what aperture meant. I just knew what it did. And so the more questions that I've asked of late, especially on this podcast, my business and my value has gone zoom because I'm asking all these questions to all these amazing people on our podcast, which is a huge win that I wasn't even thinking would happen for me. But like taking that time and being vulnerable has changed my business. And now, like by asking those questions to you guys, I know that I'm charging thousands of dollars more per wedding because it's just that extra edge on the competition. So taking the time to ask questions, do one-on-one mentor sessions, get yourself vulnerable. That is a great way for like to do the continuing education thing for sure.
Yeah. And another way along those same lines is going to be something like a workshop or, a live event or something, something like Venture, which we are going to be at and we're going to be speaking at, or as you're listening to this, WPPI, which is next week.
Yeah.
Next week, we are going to Vegas, baby. We are going to be there and actually teaching at WPPI. So, those kind of workshops, those kind of live events, what's great about them is one, you hear from some of the best people in the world speaking at what they're talking about. So that's number one. You get to hear from them. But something that I think gets overlooked a little bit when it comes to these workshops is that you're in a room with, 10, 15, 25, 50 other people that are very much in the same boat as you. And so you can hear from, Kaylin Rome or David Reynosa or Ray Roman or Aaron Tharp, and you can hear these things from these people. And then you can take this knowledge that they have just shared with you. You can go talk to them because a lot of them are more intimate, or you can talk with, the person sitting next to you about what they just said. And hey, how would you apply this to your business? How would you apply this to your craft? How would this make you better? And you're building relationships with people that are there, and you are encouraging each other, and you are helping each other. And then after you have that time where you can talk, then you have a relationship for the future, so that you can, talk with someone, so that you can refer. I went to the first venture workshop in, I think it was fall of 2017. And because of the relationships that I've built there, I have been referred 3 or 4 weddings from people there, and built relationships with them, and bounced ideas off of them, and booked other weddings because of them. And that sort of stuff wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't have gone and learned. So, and not to mention just the what I learned and implemented into my business, like that just all of those things added together helped us grow our business so much, from learning, from the relationships, all of it.
Yeah, and if you think about it, when you're in the room, like with, like for instance at Venture last year, I mean, it's 4 or 5 days long, or Vision Quest, we went to that, and it's like you get a more intimate setting where you're not just talking wedding video. You're talking life. You're rooming with different people, or and you're around for a week, and there's just this complete laser focus during the week on you, your brand, your business. You're getting inspired. I remember leaving Venture last year, and I was one of the, I was running a podcast there. I was not just an attendee, but just leaving feeling so inspired to be better, because I was, because I was around so many people, that were so excited. Last year at WPPI, I met Charlie Hilbrandt, and I've said this before, but like just his excitement to be filming weddings, like helped light a fire for me to be like, yeah, that's why I do weddings. Like he's so passionate about like storytelling and taking care of his clients. And I was just like, man, I want to, but like after you've met somebody in person, it's different than the little bubble on their profile pic.
Yeah.
It's different than Instagram. It's different. You see a real person, and there is nothing like being able to connect with real people. And a lot of the people that are on our podcast, a lot of the people that are our friends, are people that we've met in person at some of these events. And so if I need to bounce an idea about a destination wedding, I send Henry Martins a message, and we know each other now. And it's like, what did you do for this? How'd you do this? Or, and like you will meet people, maybe not people that are the ones that are teaching, but like other people at the event that are in the similar boat as you. And it's like, hey, we're friends now. We're going to refer each other. We're going to, watch each other's films. We're going to, so many good things about workshops and events, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last thing we want to touch on is going to be an online course. Where I think where the workshops and the mentor session have over the online course is that, you get that in-person like interaction, you can ask them questions and they can be very specific to you. But an online course is a great way to learn. And a lot of online courses, they do create, private Facebook groups and, chats and like that kind of thing. I know that that's what we're doing with ours, but there are so many other ones out there that are very beneficial. The great thing about an online course is it's not a one and done type thing. Like that would probably be the drawback of, a workshop or a one-on-one mentor session is if you don't write down the information, you might lose it. Where an online course, most of them have unlimited access, lifetime access, so you can go back and refer and continue to refresh and continue to learn, as, time goes on, as life goes on. And so, like with the complete wedding videography course that we have put together, we set it up in a way where we wanted it to be valuable in 3, 4, 5 years down the line, so that people could continue to learn from that. You just log back in, you can watch the thing that you want to watch, and then, apply it to your business and move on forward with that. So online courses are something that are very, very beneficial and definitely worth the investment that they cost.
Yeah. And I mean, the first one of those that I did, and I will say this, I think that a lot of people, especially wedding videographers as a whole, we are cheap when it comes to our education for ourselves. We will spend $5,000 on a camera the second it comes out, but we will not invest in ourselves. We will spend $10,000 on lenses, but we won't get audio. There's like the things that make sense to spend and invest on your business. By default, we for some reason are just so attracted to the shiny new thing so much more. I think it's so funny. All the messages I get, like, what camera are you using again? And I'm like, I'm on the C100 Mark II, the one that came out like 6 years ago or whatever. Like, you're shooting 1080, and it's like,
they don't do 4K. No,
you don't. Obviously, we're really excited for what Canon's announcing soon, but like, we want to upgrade our cameras to 4K, or whatever, but that's not what is getting our brides necessarily. Yes, Exactly. It will give us an edge, and yes, it'll make but like, that is not the fix that you're probably needing for your business. The
Correct.
Fix that you're probably needing is going to be education. And so, I challenge you, not with just like our course, we are, filling up, and it's great, and life is good for us. This is not a pitch for our course, but like, David Reynosa has a course. Full-Time Filmmaker has a course. Kaylin Rome has a course. Aaron Tharp has a course. Ray Roman has a course. There's a ton of courses that are out there. Matt Johnson's course. You start thinking about it. I think that as we move forward as a wedding video industry, it's going to get more and more popular, and we want to talk on this a lot more. Just the amount of courses that are available, the education that you can get, like, investing in that is going to supercharge your business. And so
absolutely,
like, taking that time, and saying, hey, I'm going to invest in myself and be okay with spending a couple $1,000s on educating yourself. Like, go to college, it's $40,000 to $100,000 or whatever. It's like, to get a college level course on editing in, Final Cut, like Kaylin Rome offers for, it's like, that is a great investment. Or the same thing with Matt Johnson's editing, in Premiere Pro or what. And it's like, there are different niche courses for different things. There's all inclusive courses like ours that has, so many things. But like, if you're not taking the time and seriously putting a line item in your budget for education each year, you are costing yourself tens of thousands of dollars a year. Like, it's a no-brainer. The online courses, the workshops, the mentor sessions, those kinds of things need to be in your mind each year to do for your business.
I fully believe that the minute that you stop learning is the minute that your business starts to die. And yes, you might still be able to be sustainable. You might still be able to make money for a while. But if you quit learning, your business starts to die, it stops growing, and eventually it's going to trail off, and eventually you're going to lose it. You don't know everything, okay? I don't know everything. John doesn't know everything. We're not trying to sit here and say that we do, but by us continually investing in ourselves, by us continually, I can't say that word, growing by reading books, learning from other people, our businesses are, if you think of it kind of like a roller coaster, go up the big hill and then down. Like, we're not just going down and fast down. We're continuing to go up and continuing to go up again and again so that we can continue to grow our business. I'm saying the word continue a lot, but
a lot of times. But that's okay, my friend. You're doing.
Couldn't
continue.
Say very well.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah. So the point is, if the minute that you stop learning is the minute that your business really starts to die. It's the minute that it really stops growing.
Yeah, I'm as you're saying that, I'm thinking of a few companies that I know that existed, maybe 10 years or so ago, whenever I first started, in my city, that don't exist anymore, and just thinking like, wow. Like I remember going to a bridal show and like seeing a big banner that says now in HD. Like that was a huge thing, and it was like, oh my goodness, they're using the Sony whatever mini DV HD recorder. Like they've got their stuff, they've got it figured out. They did sales a certain way. They just felt like used car salesmen and icky, and like I just remember thinking, like I hope that's not what I have to be or do. And like I kept learning. The DSLR started coming out. I remember the Nikon D90 was like a big thing for me. And then like, the 5D Mark II, holy crap. Like let's learn about, I remember having to like go figure out, because my cameras were auto ISO, auto aperture, one fixed lens with a tape in it. So I was like, what is aperture? What is ISO? And like, I remember asking one of my photographer friends, and we sit down at the table and like I started really learning what all this stuff meant. And it took me a while, but we bought a camera and we started like a photo camera, and I started taking pictures and all that good stuff. And like, I kept getting educated. I kept learning about sales. I kept learning. And now some of these people that were the big dogs whenever I was, starting out, in 2007, 2008, they were like teaching courses and traveling the world. They're not in business anymore because they forgot to keep learning. But, in my city is Penn Weddings. And I remember them being new around the same time I was new, and watching her, Rick and Sarah, like go to workshops, going to Weeva, going to Posh, and it was just like, man, why are they wasting all this time going to all these things and learning? And then like I started seeing their films just blow up and their YouTube channel blow up, and I was like, wow. And like they had tools in their belt that didn't exist, like that weren't available in Tulsa. They were going places. There weren't courses online. They found different pockets of places to go to. And up until 5 years or less ago, there were just not very many options besides some Creative Lives. And now there is this like wealth of knowledge out there that you can really invest into yourself. So,
yeah.
We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
With amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, and The Light, The Heat, MusicBed is the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music.
Their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
And if you are interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free. Definitely. So, again, never stop learning.
Yeah,
Continue to learn forever. Continually learn. So now I want to jump into our question of the day presented by Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. And it is, when is the best time for you to invest in education? It's a good question. John and I wanted to share a little bit of our stories, just kind of real quickly about this, and kind of share from life experience how we would answer this question. Like I said earlier, I think I was year 5 or so in before I did a mentorship with David from Forestry, and that really took off, and then venture later that year, and I learned a lot. And like I said earlier in the podcast, if I could go back and tell my younger self, what's the first advice that you would give, to people just starting out, it would be invest in education. And now, because education is just becoming more and more prevalent, you can find it all over the place, YouTube channels and courses and books and, all of this stuff. Invest in yourself early, because like I said, I would be way ahead of where I am now. It wouldn't have taken me to year 6 to make 6 figures. I could have done it, year 4, year 3, year 2 even, if I would have just invested in myself. So my answer is as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I think about Jake Weisler, our good friend over at Full Time Filmmaker. And, I think about him being in his second, almost third year of business. And after 2 years hitting six figures, and he's around Parker Walbeck and the entire Full Time Filmmaker staff all the time. And so he immediately was in Full Time Filmmaker, and he was learning, from this course, and it affected his business. And then he got to a point where he had learned the things that were, very, amazing that are in Full Time Filmmaker, and wanted something more and wanted to go deeper, and found us and found our podcast, and started asking me questions, and started, learning things, and changed up his entire packages. And if you look at the last time he was on the podcast, he, I appreciated it, but he was very much like, I did what John told me to do and what Nick told me to do. And now I'm charging my starting price is what my max price was a year ago. That is just, it follows the education. Once you're educated on things, you are more confident in yourself. And so when is the best time to invest into education? If you ask somebody like Jake Weisler, who made six figures in his second year, I would say probably as soon as you can. Right now, what Nick is saying, whether or not you're 5 years into business, 8 years into business, I'm challenged by this episode myself to look at how I can go deeper. I'm looking at some master classes. I'm looking at some, there's so much education from different directors, Ron Howard, or there's so many things out there where I'm like, I might invest into myself into that so I can be a better wedding filmmaker, or I might. And so for me, I'm challenged that it's never what Nick is saying, as soon as you stop learning, that's when your business starts dying. And I am a continual learner. I love gaining new information. I'm always, on the search for new content and new things. And, I've mentioned the content bug a couple times on our podcast, but she has a great YouTube channel. Her name's Catherine. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But she's gone from 20,000 YouTube subscribers to almost 70 in the last few months. And her content is all about analytics on YouTube and growing your YouTube channel. And just watching her do that has helped me understand YouTube analytics differently. I've put out different YouTube videos. I'm starting to make more money doing this kind of, and so I'm always trying to find that new information. So, the answer to that question, when is the best time to invest in education? Now is the time. So
I agree.
I talked a lot. I do that sometimes. Have you ever noticed?
You do, but it's okay.
That's what we're doing, a podcast.
Right.
So I'm okay. I don't feel bad about it. I'm tired of apologizing, Nick. I'm not going to apologize for it.
So again, I mentioned this earlier in the in-person workshops, going to these things, but just the relationships that you build. I can't stress how important it is to have relationships with others, to have a community, so that you can refer people. And, like I've said, I've gotten a few, referrals from, Jay and Mac and Beck and Neblock, from meeting them at the First Venture and that kind of stuff. But, I think more than that, because you don't want to just use people for, the referrals. Oh, I know them, so they'll refer me, but actually building positive relationships with them and messaging them and asking them questions and learning from each other and, collaborating together, because of that first venture. This summer, we actually did a styled shoot with Becca, because we're like, hey, we're going to be up there. You want to do something fun? Let's work together, on something, and just building those positive relationships so that you can have an outlet, so you can talk to people, so you can learn from each other. It's the benefits way outweigh the cost, the investment that it takes to get there. And that's the thing that I think I keep coming back with all education. Yes, I'm talking about referrals, but the benefits of education heavily outweigh the investment cost that comes with it.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, whenever you're able to see somebody do something that you're trying to accomplish, that is whenever you, if you're how do I get more bookings? What do I do during my consultations to not come across as a jerk bag, but to come across as somebody that you want at the wedding? And it's different just reading a book about sales than hearing an actual phone call. Our course has the behind the scenes of phone calls with brides and grooms and couples, and behind the scenes of me at a wedding, and behind the scenes of Nick editing a wedding. And it's like watching, it reminds me, like, my nephew loves watching people play video games online.
Gosh, it's so crazy.
And it's like, I mean, if you do that, I'd love for you to make a comment below, like, where I can do that. I want to start watching people do just because it's very interesting to me. But like watching somebody, I remember being a kid and having video games and watching my older brother like beat the guy on Mortal Kombat or Super Mario Brothers and be like, oh, that's how you do that. That's what, okay, now let me try. And like, it gives you this tool to see it, to put it into action. The first time I try, it didn't work. Like it's like, I saw him do it that way, but now I know how it's done. I can start practicing and get better and do that. It's the same thing with, like your work is going to get better when you see someone else do it. Like if you're watching our course or David's course or these other courses, you're seeing it, but then you can apply it to your business and, so slowly but surely. I remember whenever I took David's Craft 5K course, and just listening to him talk about some of the things about how he does bride prep footage, I was just like, oh, duh. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, that's how you can get that.
Yeah.
Turn off the lights, do whatever, and it's just like some of these little things that I picked up. It's like I started the next wedding, like, oh, I want to try this. I want to do this. And then I adapt it into my own. And then brides are saying, hey, I love how you do those silhouette shots while I'm getting ready. Can I get one of those? Or can I? And like, so you develop and you start getting better when you see other people do these things. It dramatically affects the way that you process your business and do your things. And so, yeah, it's definitely, it changes the game when you can see somebody doing the thing that you want to be doing.
Yes. The best way to learn is by watching someone do it. You get hands-on experience, and workshops are a great place to do that. Online courses where it's not necessarily hands-on, you're still seeing a lot of things and you're still learning a lot that way. One thing that we do want to touch on is that investing in yourself and learning from other people, it's going to enhance your films. I remember that first venture workshop and learning from Jay Worsley about adding sound design. That's the first time that I had really heard of, adding that kind of stuff in, and it has drastically improved our films. Another thing that courses do is you can learn stuff that you're not proficient in. After Catalina came on our podcast it was like 48, somewhere in there. I can't remember. She has a course called SEO is Fun, and just learning all about SEO and how you should implement that into your website and how you can, rule Google, for some of that. And I have learned so much from getting her course and applying some of the things that she is talking about on my website, and my Google rankings have improved. So if there's something that you don't know, look for something where you can just directly get what you're looking for, learn from it, and move on from there. So a question I have for you, John, right now, we've been talking all about education. How much should you spend each year? Are you talking one workshop a year, one course a year? What are your insights for someone that's like, hey, I really want to, up my education game?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think it's different for every single person, but you should look at your business, look at where you want to go, and then start. Like if I'm in my first, second, third year of business, I'm going to invest in 1 course to 2 courses, and I'm going to invest into 1 to 2 workshops. As you get further along in your business, maybe 1 to 2 types of courses a year, 1 to 2 types of workshops a year, like those kinds of things are what is going to keep you moving forward. So,
yes.
How much you should spend each year, I am obviously a very big fan based on this episode, but like if you're not spending, if you're not enrolling in 1 to 2 classes or courses a year at this point, you are going to be falling behind. And so I would say that a business that wants to do 6 figures, even if you're not doing that yet, I would spend somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 a year on courses, and I would spend the same amount on workshops, or maybe do one workshop, one course, or split back and forth. One year I'm going to do a couple of workshops, the next year I'm going to do a couple of courses. But like, you have to look at your business and say, where do I want to get better? Do I want to do I need more practice shooting? Okay, I might want to do this kind of thing. Or do I just need community? Okay, I might do this kind of thing. And so, but like, people keep asking us with our course and everything is like, is this a good fit for me? Is this right for me? And if you're asking that question, you're probably needing, a course. And so I will say too, that like, you don't, like, the best way to learn is through something like this, but getting out and shooting and practicing and applying the things are where it's made. And then just time, like, you do these things, you add time to it. Wow, my films are better. Like, I'm not even really paying attention, but my lighting is way better now, or my audio is way better, and so I can charge more, and I have better clients, and I have a better brand, and I have better contacts, and so the more that you get into your business, the more that you will see that you want to spend more on education. But I think this, to me, is like a wake up call to everybody out there that's just like only listening to our podcast, or only, videographers are cheap when it comes to education. Like, we don't want to spend the money. We don't think it's valuable. And I'm telling you that spending a couple of $1,000s a year on your education over a new drone is going to make you way more. And it's not just about the money. It's going to make you happier because you're going to be more fulfilled. Your work is going to be better, and you're going to produce stories that matter to you so much more if you're inspired by other people. And I know we talk a lot about like the business side of things on this podcast, but like, there's so much value to the artistic, the creative side of your business by being around other creatives. And so all around, it's going to keep you fired up. It's going to keep you excited. It's going to keep you growing. Your business is not going to be dying, and you're going to be so much further ahead of your competition. The people that are listening to this podcast are already way ahead of their competition, but it is a small fraction of the amount of actual wedding videographers that are out there. And so in your city, with this kind of information, with a course, or with, you're going to be so much further ahead. If you apply these principles, you'll be the number one or number two, crew in your city within no time. So
Yeah, absolutely. So we highly, as you can tell from this episode, we highly recommend education, doing that, investing in yourself. We want to make one more pitch for the Complete Wedding Videography course. Head on over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com. We have 3 modules there, one on business, one on shooting, one on editing. It's a complete business in a box. We know that it will drastically improve your business from all different angles, again, from the business, from the shooting, and the editing. So we want you to head over there, check it out. It is available, if you're listening to this on launch day, until tonight, Monday at midnight Pacific. Then cart closes. We probably will open it again, but we're not sure when that is going to happen. If you're listening to this on a podcatcher, please rate and review us. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and until next time, we will see ya.
See ya.